Well, we've been playing a lot of catch-up, so it's hard to be innovative when you're playing catch-up. But we opened an I Center that recently received the Harvard Ash Award, and our Innovation Center is about making sure that we try out technology before we buy it. We had a pretty large issue with technology projects overrunning, so we decided that we should actually try the technology before we buy it. Well, we had several accomplishments. I mentioned the kind of the IT deficit that we're kind of digging out of. One that I'm really proud of is the team really rallied across all the state agencies to replace our XP desktops. When I arrived, we had 42,000 XP desktops that needed to be remediated. Microsoft had already announced the end of life. So we have about 150 left to do. So just to give you some reference, the 42,000 desktops stretches over 12 miles. If they're lined up side by side. So, and touching every corner of the state and making sure that those desktops are replaced. And they created risk for the state. So it was important. We spent about $30 million as a state to replace those desktops, and now that's put us in a better security posture, gives the employee a better device and technology. And so instead of just replacing the device, though, we spent some time working with the employees and making sure we understand what the requirements were, gave them a piece of technology that fit their business need. Well, we're completing a Microsoft Office 365 deployment for about 70,000 employees. So we're near midway on that project and hope to finish that this year. So that's a priority that we've been working on as a state. We'll have all of our employees' emails and productivity suite. We'll be deploying the productivity suite tools like Link that we haven't had the opportunity to use in the past. So instant messaging, some of the collaboration tools that come with that like SharePoint. So we're really happy about giving that functionality to our employees who desperately need new ways to communicate and collaborate as a team. Some of our other large projects as the governor, when he came in, had asked us to look at the way we interact with citizens, improve customer service. So we've been working pretty hard to update our websites, and we'll be launching the end of May and then through the rest of the year a whole series of website deployments for each of the agencies in the cabinet that will give them a common look and feel. They'll be responsive, mobile friendly. So we're optimistic that the citizens will see that improved customer service the governor has asked us to deliver. Well, our biggest challenge, I tell people that I spend all my time not on IT, but on people. Recruiting, attracting, retaining people is a big priority for me, and it's one of our areas that we need to grow and improve. So the conference, the NASCIO just recently completed a survey on how states are improving their HR programs, and so we're looking forward as a state to learn from other states about HR models and how we can improve what we're doing with our employees. Well, it's funny, I've spent a lot of time on this. My private sector background, I was in management consulting. So our average age in management consulting is about 27 years old. When I came to the state, the average age of the 520 people in my immediate organization is 51. We had 16 people under the age of 35. 3 of them aged out last year, so we had 13 people under the age of 35. So we've been working to move that up. We now are at 20 people under the age of 35. So focusing on the millennials and attracting them to state government has been a challenge, and a lot of it has to do with the way the state law is written in the State Personnel Act. We're not a union state, but we do have a State Personnel Act that requires us to hire through the recruiting process the most experienced person. It's called merit hiring. So that has hindered us in attracting the young people, because if there's 2 candidates, one right out of college, one that has 20 years of experience, by law we have to hire the person with the 20 years of experience. So we worked with the General Assembly in the last session, changed the law that allows me a lot more flexibility to hire and recruit IT professionals, and in July we'll be rolling out a new IT professional HR program that will hopefully attract in more of the millennials. We've set up internship programs. We have a great university system in North Carolina. We have internship programs with 3 of the universities right now to recruit and bring those employees here. Yeah, and that's what we use our I Centers for. So we're right now doing a lot of work around data analytics, and leveraging data to benefit the business users. Sensors specifically, we have a number of projects around sensors. When I joined the first week in the new administration, we had a fire in our Department of Administration building. And the fire was caused by a wiring closet that had overheated because it didn't have the proper ventilation. So when you started to kind of drill down into that problem, it was a broom closet that was turned into a wiring closet. As we started to look into this a little bit further, the building is full of asbestos. So there was no way to add ventilation to that closet because you can't disturb the asbestos. Well, there's no sprinkler system in the building because it has asbestos, so they couldn't put sprinklers in because a sprinkler system would disturb the asbestos, which is a bad thing. So that building housed the governor's office, the Department of Administration, and the budget office, and is full of paper because state government is still very paper intensive. What's really interesting about that fire, it occurred at about 4:30 on a Friday. And why that's important is the person who put the fire out was the Capitol Police officer, who, due to budget cuts over the last 5 or 6 years, they only work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So had that Capitol Police officer not been on duty, it would pretty been devastating for North Carolina. So it's important as we come out of that to understand where our hot spots are. So we've put sensors around the 2,000 plus server closets. We're installing heat sensors that are monitored through a cloud-based solution so that we can understand where we have problems and vulnerabilities as a state. Sure. Well, actually, the XP remediation was a piece of that puzzle for us because the most common attacks, if you look across the states, they start with an email to a user. So if you're running an outdated operating system, you're going to be very vulnerable. So that was why that was a priority for us over the last 18 months to update the operating system, because we'll get the patches that come from Microsoft and protect our users as they click on things that they hopefully shouldn't click on. But our second line of defense is training. So we've invested quite a bit in user training over the last year to make sure they understand that clicking on those links can lead to bad things. And then we do some self-auditing to make sure that people aren't clicking on links. So we kind of encourage employees to use email, but also be aware of its risk. Well, the governor and I have been up meeting with the FCC on numerous occasions trying to talk to them about the E-rate formula for the way E-rate funds are distributed. So in North Carolina, over the last several years, we've been able to connect all of our school buildings, and so the school buildings are connected to the internet. The school buildings are connected with broadband, but the classrooms are not connected. Only about 25% of the classrooms are connected. So we've been working with the FCC to lobby on changing the E-rate formula so that we can deploy Wi-Fi in the classrooms. And we've just completed an RFP process. We hope to have about 75% of the classrooms enabled with Wi-Fi later this year if we can complete the E-rate formula changes. That I'll be back in DC both this week and next week talking to the FCC about helping us with those changes to the E-rate formula.